Hello there. Well, I am, as you can see, back in London again, just for a little trip, and I'm going to an event this afternoon which I'll tell you about later, but I can't put it out on social media quite yet. But one of the things that's got me right now is I did a video a while ago about importing conflict into the UK, and this is an extremely important issue for us right now, especially for the people that have lived here all their lives. We're having conflict consistently and imported into this country, and there's nothing we can seemingly do to stop it. Right now we've got a poll that was reported in the Times where they're talking about people's differing views on the Middle East subject, and it's dominating everything, absolutely everything. And this is probably the first time for many, many years that an international issue has so dominated the headlines and our politics that it's completely upended it. But worse than that, it's not just grabbing the headlines, it's grabbing people's ideas about culture in this country. And I fear it could actually lead to violence on the streets here. And I find that, it's just criminal what we're doing to ourselves, what we're allowing to happen to ourselves. We should not be importing all this conflict, and we should not be allowing people to display all that conflict on our streets and then encourage division and try and bring their disputes from thousands of miles away into this country. Oh yes, they'll claim, we've got to stop arming one side or the other. Yes, if we're going to stop arming one side, then Russia and Iran will have to stop arming the other side. I just find it incomprehensible that we're allowing these sorts of conversations here in this country. If we want to have a united and non-divided country, we're going to have to get rid of this conflict. We're going to have to beat it somehow. And the politicians' only answer is more of it, bring more people in, so that in the end we all have to sort of mash together and work together. I'm afraid that doesn't work. That is not working right now. As was seen yesterday on the streets of London, where the pro-Hamas, pro-Palestine, pro-Houthi, pro-Hezbollah people were out in force, as usual, doing their level best to try and divide this country. And we've got to stop doing this. We've got to stop allowing this to happen. We need to just get a grip on these protesters and stop them doing it. How else are we going to get a cohesive country if all the time every single conflict that's out there is going to be dragged through our streets? Is it up to us to be the policeman of the world, or the police service for the world, to stop everybody fighting each other? We gave up that sort of thing donkeys years ago. There is no colonialism anymore. That's the past. It's all over. So no, I'm just getting a little bit tired of all this sort of divisive anti-UK sentiment that seems to be deluged on us on a daily basis. In Europe, they're beginning to turn to the right, and there's talk of things like remigration and all this sort of malarkey. But how long before that starts here? How long are we near that stage? When in actual fact, what people will be saying is, we've had enough. This is the UK. This is not the battle lines between Gaza and Israel, or between the Hezbollah in Lebanon. Oh, and not all the Lebanese like Hezbollah. They would rather they weren't there, so they could go back to a nice, happy existence. And I would hazard a guess that the conflict in Yemen between the government and the Houthis, I bet the locals would rather that stopped and they went back to some sort of normality. So, and the Hamas in Gaza, well, they're just the epitome of evil, basically. They were hiding behind their own children. and using the deaths of their children and their women as ammunition to beat us up with. And we allow it. And we allow people on the streets of London to go about extolling Hamas. I mean, and Hezbollah. There were signs yesterday of people saying, "I heart Hezbollah." Now, if that's not supporting a proscribed organisation, I don't know what is. How many arrests are going to be made? This is just absolutely unforgivable. Really is. We really need to, as I said, get a grip. Stop allowing so many people from different parts of the world where there is conflict. If there's conflict in a part of the world, you don't just let everybody in. You find out what their intentions are. You find out where their beliefs lie and if they're likely to be a threat to us. Because I'm getting the impression that there are a lot of people here who are a threat to us. Don't you, when you read the newspapers? And the last time I heard, there was a figure of 43,000 people on the watch list, and that was about, 5, 6, 7 years ago? I wonder how many are on the MI5 watch list right now, today? I bet it's far higher than that, because we're just importing conflict. Goes on day by day. Then we allow them across on boats, or the French send them across on boats, presumably, because that seems to be the way it works. And then we put them up in hotels. Takes ages to check them. We don't know what they're up to. How many of them go missing? I mean, it would be really funny to find out from Labour how many have gone missing during their watch in the last few months, the last 3 months. They'll blame that all on the Tories, no doubt. This is getting beyond a joke for us. Ordinary Brits who just want to get on with their ordinary lives are now being affected with all of this. And if the conflict goes on, it increases energy prices, it increases shop prices, it increases all prices. So why are we allowing it to go on? Why? You just have to ask yourself, don't you? Is it the bankers? Is it the big oligarchs and all those sorts of people who are taking us for a financial ride? Is that what it's all about? I don't know, I just think it's us voters, because we never seem to want to vote for people into Parliament or give them positions of authority who actually look after us or want to look after us. Over the last couple of decades or more, it's been all about looking after everybody else on the planet as if we can afford it. It's good to hear that Rachel Reeves is talking about cutting a bit back on foreign aid, on the foreign aid budget, say about 2 billion. But that's not enough. We need to wipe the whole thing out. Cut it back to $1 billion every year for going around supplying clean water to people. Although don't bother doing that in Gaza, because what they do in Gaza is dig up the pipes and use them as rocket launchers. So don't bother with that. But importing conflict is now becoming headline news all the time. We must import more conflict to stop conflict. If we import more people who have their own ways of life, their own cultures, their own disputes with other cultures that go back tens of years, hundreds of years, or thousands of years, if we import them all, they'll all come into Britain and suddenly they'll all be sweetness and light and work together and we'll all be happy bunnies. That is not working. You only have to look around you to see that. Anyway, I've got to go and find some lunch in a minute because it was a bit of a drive in this morning, and then I found the Elizabeth line wasn't working, so the tube's last stage of the journey took just a little bit longer than I thought it might. So yeah. Anyway, what are your thoughts on importing conflict? Do you think it's the right thing to do? How do you think we should handle that? Should there be a requirement that those who come in agree that they won't bring their conflict with them, that they won't use it against us, or they won't use it, or they won't be campaigning on our streets? Is that the way to do it? Or do they have the fundamental right to go out every week and bring conflict onto our streets? Is that the way it really works? Is that what human rights is all about? Allowing people to come in and espouse conflict, back terrorist organisations in this country. That can only lead to one outcome, can't it? terrorism on our streets. We've seen it before, we've had it before, but don't you think it's about time we started thinking about what we want, what the British people want? Anyway, I'm off to find some lunch, then on to my next destination, which I'll tell you about later. Thanks very much.